Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Finance and Investments in Ukraine. My name is Mike Wilson, and brought to you by Andesite Blue and Toloka Studio. And I really appreciate Toloka for putting this on and giving us the space to be able to talk to you and to present to you the different options, opportunities, and just hopefully a little bit of education as well in the finance sector and especially in investments. We have a lot going on, and it's been exciting. There's been a real shift and a change in the atmosphere here, and I'm really looking forward to talking about it each week. That I living here get a chance to see all of the nuances and the changes that are taking place. I have a special guest tonight. His name is John, and I'm looking forward to introducing him to you. He's a great character, young man, and investor. He's done well for himself, and he's still pushing forward, and he has certain goals that he wants to reach. And I believe that this young man is going to reach them very soon. So I'm looking forward to talking to him this evening and introducing him to you and picking his brain a little bit and just having a good time this evening. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce you to John. So John, welcome, and I appreciate you coming on here, especially last minute. I know we kind of talked about it possibly next week, but you were available, and I really appreciate that. So
I'm happy to be here, Mike. Thank you for having me. Yeah, this is exciting. It's a new experience. I'm all about trying new things.
Good. So, yeah. You got that young, as part of being an entrepreneur, but you just have that, go get it type of mentality, which is really necessary and needed in life,
Well, life, I feel, is really short. If you don't seize the opportunities that come by your way, then what's the point? You miss them.
Yeah, exactly.
You miss the 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah. So do me a favor, just tell us about where you're from, about yourself, and your background, what you're doing.
So I'm from Singapore, and I'm a cryptocurrency stock trader, investor. I love property, and I did my degree in computer science in Australia, and during those 4 years that I spent in Australia, I learned more about the world, about life, about how different currencies, how different systems and countries work. And I started to analyze and compare. How does the US do things? How does Singapore do things? How does Australia do things? And it just opened up my brain to everything.
Very good, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that our biggest teacher is the things that we experience.
Yep.
And it's we can go to school, we get an education, we get that's really a springboard, but that's really not
pretty much
where the rubber meets the road.
During my university years, I was studying computer science, as I said. I did not like it. Right?
Okay.
I was pushed into it by my uncle, who is a wonderful person. He just thought that IT was the future. And I agree with him. IT is definitely the future, but it has to be in line with your passion. Right, so I was searching for a way out because I didn't want to do the 9-to-5 grind, right?
Yes,
and I stumbled upon this little thing called Bitcoin, right? And that was my first taste.
And how many years ago was that?
7 years ago.
7 years ago.
To date, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
7 years ago. It was the first time I had a massive gain, and I didn't know what I was doing at all, right?
Okay.
So I made quite a bit of money. I took some profit out, and I lost the rest. It was a huge loss, but I got something to show for it. I was like, okay, let's learn from this mistake. From then on, it just progressed to what I am today, because I wanted to be able to travel. That was really important for me.
Okay.
Yeah, to travel
very good,
and not be in one place. Yeah.
So there's couple things that you had mentioned there, I went from school to the military.
Yep.
And I served in the U.S. Marines, and I spent 5 years doing that. But also in the military was training me for a trade. I was actually wanting to take on a skill, auto body and paint. I wanted to get into car makeovers, painting, customizing, and stuff like that. So I kind of had a passion for that, and so the military trained me. But when I got out, a lot of doors were closed, and I wasn't able to get the jobs that I was trained for. And even some of the places said, well, you don't have enough experience. I said, well, where do you start? You got to start somewhere, right? I already have experience, but they wanted something else. But they weren't really in the position of hiring. Yeah. So I had to quickly find a job after I got out of the military. Yeah. And I got into sales, which also created a different opportunity. It taught me to that I could control my own income and my own destiny. Because now I'm trading effort for reward versus that 9 to 5 that you were talking about.
Yep, precisely.
But there's, and you got a taste of it, as I got a taste of it. And so even when I got married, started having children and having a family, I couldn't do the 9 to 5. And I kept pressing, but the only way I can really control my lifestyle and the lifestyle for my family was in something that I could do to create that reward that wasn't punching a clock.
Yep.
And so I sought after those particular jobs, and then I got into business, and then so it opened my eyes and got me further. So I was uneducated, and I had to educate myself, and it was through the experiences of mistakes, losses, and gains, that you start going, and you start being formed in your thought process. So now, as a young person, you were, as we say, formidable, that your mind could be molded into what you wanted, but you had control over that. And that's the exciting part of finances and investments.
It's funny when you call me young person. I just said 30, so it's like some people would disagree, like you're a grandpa, John, but
over the hill, right?
I'll take it, yeah.
Yeah, well, I have 3 sons older than you, way older than you. So,
Yep.
So yeah, you're right in the middle of my boys there,
Yeah.
So, but still, you. Even at your age now, you have some advantages that I don't have.
Yep.
Okay, so I can't do certain things because compound interest, it takes time to build those things through passive incomes.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to make extraordinary gains, I have to take more extraordinary risks.
Yes, you do.
So, and your level, you enjoy taking those risks, but you also, because you mentioned properties.
Yep.
Which means that
you need to manage risks. You can't always go guns blazing into anything.
Let's talk about.
You can never go 100% into any one item.
Exactly.
Right? You're setting yourself up for if that's ever taken away from you, you're screwed.
Right.
The example is a paradox. I forgot what it was called. The paradox of abundance. Right?
Okay.
Give you an example. Russia, they rely on their gas.
Correct.
Right? The second you take away their gas revenue, the whole country doesn't have any other system.
Correct.
So if they become rich because of that one resource, and they forget and neglect everything else.
Right.
So all your eggs in one basket. So you can never do that.
Yeah, they're not making revenue on grain. They're not making revenue on potatoes or anything like that. Yeah. So that's absolutely correct. This hang on that for a little bit there, because that diversity has become important.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I also was the emotional. Bringing your emotions under control.
Yes.
When I was a young investor in my early 20s and in my 30s, I would make markers that were unrealistic.
Yep.
And it would always collapse before it got there. And instead of taking the gains out, so you got some gains on the crypto, but the other part you lost, but you still managed to take a profit on that, which means it's a gain.
Yep.
But a lot of people say, no, just I can, instead of saying, hey, let me back what I invested.
Yep.
Let me take a part of that and continue to push for that. But it's the most common thing with any kind of investment. It's fear of losing and greed. You always want more. Or you have to cut those emotions out, or you just give everything back. Those are the two worst emotions that affect all humans. The most negative source, especially in finances. So that's the difference between a sophisticated or a disciplined investor and a retail investor that is not experienced in that and basically just on pure emotion.
Yep.
And so we don't see we hear about the gains in the news, but it's really a handful. They never really talk about all the losses, because then it would put the fear in everybody else to not, participate.
That's why if you go out and you say what you're doing, it's a risk because the failure, if you do fail, it becomes a public failure and it's very painful.
Correct. Yes. Right? Yeah. And everybody looks down on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want everybody to think, oh, this guy's a genius. You want that effect. You want the attention. So you got to control. You get it all under control. Like
Yeah, so that's absolutely correct. I mean, I had a couple of hits during '91 and 2008.
Yep. I remember 2000. I studied that extensively. What happened to the U.S. housing market?
Yeah.
I was like reading case studies and what happened. The mortgage-backed securities. It was.
Well,
rough times.
The banking system was playing on a bubble, and so everybody was trying. Everybody was as a feeding frenzy, like piranhas, right? It was just they're attacking the pig, but the pig's going to disappear.
Yeah, it's funny how so many people they're really educated, but the education system doesn't teach you about these things. Because I was asking all the people older than me, what you lived through, my uncle, my aunts, my friends who were older than me, you lived through the dot-com crash. You lived through the 2008 crash. What was it like? What happened? How was Singapore affected? How was Australia affected? And they had no idea. What? They didn't know. So they couldn't tell me. A lot of them couldn't.
Okay, so you had to kind of research it yourself then.
Yeah, because I feel the education system really failed.
Right.
Why are you teaching me all this extra crap when I should be learning this?
Correct.
How do I take out a loan? You don't know any of that.
So and I mean, we're bringing up a lot of points, and we could spend an hour or more on each one of those categories, but they're absolutely fantastic and they're excellent points. And we don't have time to really help change that, to educate, on that thing there. But it's well appreciated. Everything that's being said, and that's why I was excited. I was actually, when I invited you last week to be a guest on my show, I was actually excited to have you on. I haven't had a young investor. I've had different people that are in different sectors. I'm a builder. I'm a contractor, so I understand development, building, construction, architect, and those things. Those are my strengths. Business, I understand business. I understand the profit and loss statements, and managing those things. But in your sector, I've dabbled, but I also failed in it, And but I didn't invest my whole wad into it. I didn't put all my eggs into that. I was just attempting to do it. I got onto the E-Trade site, and so you do your own trading, and tried that for a little while, and I just wasn't gaining the knowledge that I needed to. I wasn't able to get a hold of it.
Okay, so when it comes to trading, it's not the same as investing. Right?
Correct.
Investing is over a long period of time. Right? Investing, if you have already a lot of money, you could go into blue chip stocks. Apple, you make 5% every year, stable income.
Correct.
But you're not going to get rich.
Right.
With trading, it's more short term, and it depends on how short term you want to get, how risky you want to get.
Correct.
Day trading.
Day trading is very.
I am a swing trader. I'm not a day trader because day trading is a lot more stressful. And then you have scalping, which is even more short term. So my trades take anywhere from 3 to 6 months to see fruition. Right. But the only thing that matters in any kind of trade, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Gonna cancel that one real quick. I thought I turned it off. Sorry. So the only thing that matters with trading is the number of times you're correct.
Yes.
So if you take 10 trades, like all separate trades, and you're correct more than 50% of the time, you are profitable.
You're going to gain.
You're 6 out of 10 times correct, you're in profit.
Yes.
You're a successful trader.
Okay.
That's all that matters. That's the only number that matters.
And so that's why taking away the emotion, because the losses we end up we hang more on the losses than we do our gains.
And there's so many psychological things like the hot hand fallacy. So if I get 3 trades or 5 trades in a row correct, my hands are hot.
Yes.
Anything I touch turns to gold.
Right.
No. It doesn't work that way. You're setting yourself up for failure. So you have to separate them. And after something like that, a streak, stop. Take a break, go clear,
Very
reset
good.
your brain.
Yep.
Same for like 5 losses in a row.
Because now you're talking about greed.
Yeah.
So greed is the other factor that
Yes.
you mentioned. And
Yes.
then what happens is like everything we touch turns to gold, and we think, oh, there's no end to this.
There's no end. I can keep going.
Yeah,
No.
and then boom.
Because it's like you're at a casino. It becomes gambling really quickly.
Yeah.
So it's not gambling if you like have a plan and you stick to it. And that's where the discipline comes in.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what's refreshing about
Yeah.
talking with you. I mean, technically we've only met 1 week ago. Even though, like you said, you've heard of me through the English-speaking clubs.
Yes.
But we actually met last week, and then we had another time to spend together on Sunday.
Yep.
But you know, it doesn't take long to be able to pick the essence of someone's character and where they're at, and you know, and how their successes have helped them be where they're at. Before we move on to more of the investments and the diversifications, and I would like to ask, why are you here in Ukraine?
Why am I here in Ukraine? Oh boy, so many reasons. Where do I begin? So when I was in university in Australia, I actually wanted to stay in Australia. I loved Australia, right?
Climate was probably pretty good.
Perfect. It was beautiful. Everything, the food, the mountains, the cold. I like seasons. I like cold weather.
Okay.
I like warm weather. Singapore's always hot, always wet.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that.
Okay.
And I love snow as well, right? So I wanted to stay, but because of COVID-19, see, the universe had different plans for you. So,
Right,
sorry,
right.
John. Visa's gone. Bye-bye. No job.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, well. And then I went back to Singapore for about, I think, 8 months. It was the most depressing 8 months of my life.
Wow.
Right, I was broken. It's like my dream to stay in Australia was gone. Right, I was ready to buy a house the second I got the green card. But you know, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. And now, see, I came to Ukraine, and I couldn't be happier. Right, I was basically researching which country could I go to where it's cheap, I can, you know, work, do my own thing, and it's simple to get the visa. And I made a list, like Colombia, Ukraine, like Brazil, and Portugal and Hungary, yeah. And
Okay.
Ukraine just seemed to be the most obvious choice because it was the cheapest and the closest to Europe. So
Yes,
I could fly in, fly out every few months to any country because the EU has that Schengen visa thing.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so that was the reason I chose Ukraine.
Okay.
Also because I like the snowboarding and the mountains, Carpathian Mountains.
The Carpathians. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's
Yeah.
so that's what drove you here, and then since being here, what has affirmed that?
Well, I live very frugally. Like I try to keep my expenses as little as possible, so below $2,500 every month USD.
Okay.
I do not spend more than that.
Okay.
Right. Every other penny I make, I'm saving, investing, etc. Because
Okay.
I want to hit a certain target by the time I'm 35.
Okay.
That's my plan at least. So I'm living a very chill life, and even with that small amount of money, I feel like I'm living like a king here.
You still feel like you're
I
living
feel
lavishly.
like, very lavishly. It's like the U.S. in 1990, right? An upper middle class U.S. citizen in 1990.
Yeah, and so in
Because
1980,
you're able-
2,500 was a sustainable income in California, because I was living in California in the 80s. So yeah, you could at 2,500 a month as a single person, you could actually do
I live
comfortable.
by myself. I support 2 little kittens. I have 2 cats, and it's more than enough.
Okay.
So I get to be independent. Whereas if I was living in Singapore or Australia, Australia does tax. In Singapore, I'd probably have to stay with my mom or live in a shoebox because of the rent.
Oh, it's high there, huh?
High.
See, I've never been to Singapore. I do want to visit. So
Yeah, it's beautiful for you.
yeah.
You'll be a tourist. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, be a tourist. I mean, being a
the
tourist
signs.
is different. Yeah.
Walk in here, buy this.
Yeah.
The government knows what they're doing there.
You taught me something on Wednesday that I was not aware of, that Singapore is a pure English country.
Yep.
It's
100%
education,
English.
yeah. And I said, well, what's the Singapore language? And you said English. And I go,
Yeah.
wait a second.
Yeah. Unofficially, there's a language called Singlish. Unofficially.
The kind of like the pidgin, we call it in Hawaii.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so it's like...
I don't sound like a typical Singaporean, by the way. You'll hear an accent, kind of.
A little bit of
I don't
accent,
have it,
yeah. And the accent is not identifiable. I
Oh.
could not put it. I
Me?
could.
No.
Yeah, your accent is not identifiable.
Yeah.
So I can hear the accent, but I don't. So that's why I said, "Oh,
It's-
you're from Texas."
It's kind of mixed. It's like American. It's got Australian.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so now you're in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
You've been here how many months?
6 months before the war started. Then I went to Thailand for a bit because it was really scary, and then I came back 6 months ago. So in total, 1 year.
Oh, so you've been in total 1 year. And so your second time back, though, wasn't, so you figured out the financial part of Ukraine was a perfect little nest for you. It gave you a lifestyle that was above standard at a very low
Cost.
budget and allowing you to reach some goals that you want to reach at the age 35. There's more than just the financial aspect that makes a place attractive. So some of the things that made, and you're in Kiev, which is the capital, but I mean, there's other cities that you could have been in as well, like Lviv or Odessa or Kharkiv. Of course, Kharkiv has been under such devastation, and that wouldn't be the choice now. But what are some of the highlights, some of the beauties, some of the things that really keep you here and attract you?
What else? What can I say? I guess the culture is very nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie and pretend I didn't see the beautiful women around. That's definitely a fact.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm just gonna put that out there. They are beautiful. Saw that, but it's a lot. All the little things that add up to it.
Yes.
And yes, Kiev, because right now it's the capital, and the capital is where all the cool people are hang out, sort of, so to speak. I'm not opposed to living to Lviv or Odessa. I might actually do that for a couple months. Go there, live there for a bit, see what it's like. But right now, I'm living the fast-paced life.
Yes.
Right? I'm living very quickly. Let's go here. Let's do that. Spontaneous. I found that I could make it to this interview. I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
I got this.
At 3,
I can make
I
it.
could answer at 3 o'clock. It's
Yeah.
like I didn't know if I was going to have
It's
a
like
guest tonight.
last minute, I can do it.
Yeah,
Yes. So
yeah,
it's like
so-
whatever happens, spontaneous. Anything spontaneous.
And when you go
I'm
back
happy
to your flat, you don't have any whining, complaining kitties. They're all happy. They're happy to see you. So
Yeah, all happy to see me.
yeah, that's the advantage of pets. Dogs, cats. It's like no complaints. You're back at the house, and
Oh my
you're
God,
like,
I'm so happy to see you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, so now you're here, and you're able to do things here that you want to do, to live the lifestyle that you want to live. A lot of people have made that choice. Foreigners have made that choice and become expats. I always say I'm not an expat. I'm a dual pat, because I never X'd my last pat by patriotism.
Okay.
So I'm still a U.S. patriot.
Yep.
And I'm a Ukrainian patriot.
That would make me the same. I'm still a Singapore patriot. Like,
Yep.
for all the things I don't like about Singapore, there are many more things that I love, like the efficiency, and I miss that.
Yeah, you
I miss
mentioned that. Yeah.
desperately. Yeah.
Now, we talked a little bit about government.
Yes.
And changes that needed to take place. So South Korea, Singapore, a lot of emerging markets, countries that were kind of, like South Korea, after the Korean War and stuff like that. And if you look at South Korea now, oh my God, it's the only lit thing at night on the map, and it's just an amazing. Dubai. Okay, we look at Dubai. The changes have come from 1970 to now. Just the way it has developed and
Massive
blown up.
growth. Yep.
The GDP, everything that has just changed. In UAE. These are countries of examples.
Yep.
They also fought against corruption within their own countries. And matter of fact, South Korea. Remember a few years ago, they got rid of the woman. President. They ousted her. They arrested her.
South Korea.
South Korea. Did I say North?
I don't know.
I said South, but yeah, South Korea. I mean, that's a free world. That's a free world country, and so they didn't put up with it. There was she did some wrong things, and they arrested her. And so Lithuania, when it got into the single market with the EU. The GBP just just did phenomenal. But Lithuania, a post-Soviet country,
Yeah.
has done very well, into developing and and taking care of the citizens, and giving a comfortable lifestyle for the citizens.
I don't quite know much about the politics of South Korea, but I do know a little bit about their debt problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have a huge upcoming student loan problem, as well as similar to America, but not the same. And I know about. Do you know about Samsung, the CEO?
I don't.
Okay, so it's a bit of a loophole in the law, a bit weird. If a CEO dies in Korea, the whole company has to dissolve.
Really?
It's a very old law, right? So Samsung, the CEO, he was like 80, 85, 87?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know his age, he was old. And he went in for like heart surgery, and he hasn't come out for 20 years.
Oh.
The
wow.
government says he's still alive. So there's
He's propped up on a stick, right?
because it's Samsung. Can you imagine the number of jobs?
Oh my God! The jobs.
They
And of course,
dissolve the
and I have a
company.
Samsung. Love their cameras, So
Yep. There you go.
when you said that, I go, oh no, what am I gonna do? Yeah.
That's what I know about Korea. So
Okay. We've seen other countries that are just doing miserable. Greece and their economics and their
the Greece, the Euro crisis. Yeah.
yeah.
know about that.
So there, so we see all these things going around, but it's all governments collapse because of greed.
Yep.
Because
Bad policies, bad leadership.
Yeah, and the policies are
unable to put all the arguments aside and think about the country and the people.
Correct.
That's who you're serving. That's who you want to help, because they're your citizens.
Right, and
the better they do, the better you do.
Oh yeah, and that's business in general.
Yep.
Right. I mean, the better you provide for your clientele, the better you are.
So as you mentioned, all these countries as examples, you're absolutely right in saying that Ukraine is poised, like once the war ends, for massive growth.
Yes.
I agree with that completely. Right, 100% ready, because it has so many opportunities here that the concept hasn't been thought of yet. So you could bring over all that talent from the US, from Singapore, from wherever, and you would have no competition. You would be the first.
That is correct.
Right?
That is correct.
So this is all with a caveat, all to remain to be seen unless the government puts in good policies to protect all these investors.
Yes.
Because if people who come here get they lose their money, it doesn't work, all these problems with corruption, they're going to go home and tell their friends, don't go here.
Don't go there.
Right?
I lost my shirt there. Yeah,
exactly. And there are most investors would be cautious, right? Because we just talked about risk. So they wouldn't want to risk any capital that they have unless all the boxes are checked already with infrastructure and business and stuff.
Yeah,
so
and the laws, the laws that are enforced to protect the investors. Now they do have those in place, and they're making more laws in place because they are looking to attract those investors. Their accession into the EU, they have 7 requirements to fulfill in order to be accepted into the actual nomination into the EU.
Yeah.
Their application is accepted, and it was actually fast-tracked. Ukraine has been one of the fastest countries to receive and everybody on the green, thumbs up on the application. And then they gave out the requirements. So it was 7 requirements, and Zelensky is and the government is looking hard at those requirements to fulfill and to accomplish those things. And
of course, the requirements public.
Yes, they are, and it's it's not a secret, and it lists them now. Part of it is corruption, part of it is the banking system. We talked a little bit about that. The banking system here is broke, so I'd like to see some new banks come up.
New banks, you don't have to make new banks. You could fix the old banks. It's all a matter of policy. Some things I find ridiculous are Ukrainians having to pay fees to the banks for keeping their money.
Well, you have to pay a fee to put your money into your account.
That's ridiculous.
You have to pay a fee to take your money out of the account.
Ridiculous. What is this?
And every machine, the bank's own machine, there's commission fees on that. And so, especially as foreigners, the fees are just fee, fee, fi, fo, fum, right?
Exactly. That's broken. You should not punish citizens for, they work hard for that money.
Right.
They're holding up the economy that you have. If you keep taxing them, they're not going to be able to create businesses for you,
Correct.
for the country.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree, and that's why I wanted to actually open a bank with the Andesite UA. That's one of the things that we are looking at in the future is to have the Andesite Bank, because and then we would use the policies of totally free checking accounts and stuff like that, so people can cash checks, they can do their cards, use their debit cards, and there's no charges on those, and there's no back fees.
There should be like that FDIC insurance equivalent.
Yeah, that's to insure the account.
Yep.
I'm not sure. I don't know enough to know if what the insurance is on the current account holders. Mm-hmm. I'd have to look into that. Obviously, if we were to open a bank, then we would do all the research on that to know what those are. But we would also set in place in there to insure the accounts. But yeah, so the banking system needs to be fixed, which is a huge. Also, being able to move money back and forth. If you're an investor from a foreigner, money comes in, it's being spent here, it's being used here, it's profiting here, it's helping the GBP here, but it also needs to go back out.
Yep.
And it has to do this freely. Without freezes and stops and everything that causes it difficult to be able to do business internationally.
Yep.
They're working on that. I do know that the policies are being set on that. And again, with the one market system that the EU has, they're looking to actually make Ukraine part of that one market system prior to their inception into the EU. So. I'm not sure when that's going to happen. I hope within a year or two they'll be able to agree on that, because there's already 3 countries now that are not EU countries that are in the one single market system of the EU. Their GBPs increased dramatically because now there's no borders on market exchange and goods and trades and everything and import export. So you make that system, and that's part of the things that bolster economics. So those are the things in place, and those things have to be worked on. I wish it could happen overnight. It doesn't.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Right.
So,
and it collapsed in a
good
day.
Things
but
take their time. Yeah. We're here because we're optimistic about what's going to happen.
Right.
That's why we're here.
And one of the things that you said, you love being a trailblazer.
Yeah.
And it takes trailblazers, because trailblazers think differently.
Well, not always, but yes, in this case, I like being a trailblazer.
Yeah.
Because, there's a movie that I watched, Margin Call. Have you seen it?
Oh.
It's about investing.
I did not see that one.
So the big-time billionaire CEO was saying there are 3 ways to get rich. You be smarter, you cheat, or you be first.
Ah.
I was here first. So you get rich. You're there to grab the opportunity, and the growth brings you up. Yeah.
So when I got here 4 years ago, to me it was like 1849. It's called the 49ers, the San Francisco 49ers. That's the big gold rush, is 1849. And so people would just go out to the rivers, and the gold would just be lining the rivers, and they were just picking it up. Yeah. And it was, and there were chunks. They weren't mining for dust. They were literally picking up the chunks in there. So that was a big, huge gold rush. Everybody said, that's what I see Ukraine as, is the 49ers. We can call Ukraine the 49ers because it is poised and ready. There's already development already working on right now. There's already repairments that's going on into these, like Bucha and Irpin, and developers going into there, Chernihiv, and there's already the reconstruction that's beginning. It's not to the level that it needs to be, but it can't be until everything is closed and Ukraine is secure and free. But still, I saw literally gold nuggets all over the streets here in Kiev.
Literal gold.
Well,
you mean, okay.
Yeah, figuratively, but the opportunities, there's so many things that, and when you're born in a free society, you take for granted the things that you're born into. But when you go into another society, all of a sudden the things that you were born into are just laying around that nobody else has seen yet. And they're here, and that's how you opened when your conversation this evening. and that there's opportunities in Ukraine, and that is then, and the investors, the real investor, even the institutional money that's looking to invest, they're all poised and ready to dump money into Ukraine and to develop. We're Andesite Blue. Their sectors is medical, their sectors is energy. Their sectors is agriculture. Their sectors is IT. Their sectors is infrastructure. So I mean, there's a lot of that we're diversifying as a company. We diversify our investments. Some are going to come up here. Some are going to perform poorly.
Yeah.
But it comes out to the level. It comes out to the mark that we want overall. So we don't chase only after the possibilities of I'm going to get 20 or 25% returns. On my investment in a certain sector, because those are the little bit more volatile sectors that you could lose on. So we look at that same process of diversification. Now we are kind of we have a one tool investment, and that's stocks. We sell stocks. You have diversified, so crypto. The stock exchange,
stocks,
and real estate.
Real estate.
And so real estate is also a very positive point here in Ukraine because it's suppressed right now. And being first, it gives you an opportunity to be able to invest, whether it's commercially or residentially, but it gives you an opportunity to invest, and then you'll be able to take advantage of the upswing on that, and it's just patience. It's just you grab it at a certain point, and then you say, okay, 5 years, 4 years, 7 years, whatever markers you have on that, you know that you're going to have that return, and that's so we take on the income properties now, the income businesses, the things that are already producing an income now to invest in, so that it sustains the rates of return that we give to our bond investors. That way, that is secure. We have that hard asset that backs the bond, so kind of like the gold standard, but so we actually have some. It's not a piece of paper, and then the upswing on that is where the business. So we look at the upswing of the growth of Ukraine, growth of the market, so that then later we can dissolve if we need to, 5, 7, 10 years, down the road, and have that growth in there, and that manages all of the operating expenses, manages all any commissions that will be induced through doing trade and business. And all of those expensive that nobody really knows about, and what investors have to go through.
This is a lot. You've thought about everything almost.
I've been here a while. Yes.
You've been here a while. I'm new to business. I'm not really a business guy. I more just look at the markets. So.
Right. Okay.
It's really cool though. Yeah.
No. Thank you. Yeah. And so, and that's why I wanted to bring you on, though. That's why I was excited about bringing you on, because it gives our audience a view of really. See, I'm not saying bonds is the only way. No, I say diversification. Your discipline is awesome. I wish I had your discipline when I was your age. I just did all my stuff in business. I didn't do it in the investment. I tried. I dabbled. So I didn't lose my shirt on anything. Because I just dabbled. Yep. But I still got caught up in I got caught up in the two things, greed and emotion.
It does take up a lot of your time, and you have to commit to full. I do it as my full-time job, so it takes a lot of my time.
Yes.
So you have to really sacrifice and give it if you want it to work. Whatever you choose.
Whatever you choose to do. Yeah. And any pro has to do that, right?
Any pro, if you want to reach the top, you have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look at our basketball players. Look at our football players, baseball players, soccer players. I mean, any top pro did what? Did it full time.
Yep.
He was out there, kicking balls. He was out there shooting hoops. He was non-stop. He was doing it when everybody else said, "Hey, come on, let's party." And he said, no, he wasn't. He was stayed there and continued to work on his game. And so that now that he's made the pinnacle, now he can enjoy the lavishness of his life. But he disciplined himself and he gave it up.
Yep.
And so any pro has to do that. You've chosen the profession that has been comfortable for you, but gives you greater gains than the average Joe. you get to live, you get to travel, you get to do the things that many people want to do,
Yep.
but can't. And but because you've taken on a discipline, and I think really the key thing is that factor is a discipline.
I'm just playing the best way with the hand that I've gotten, that life has given me. I'm just playing it to the best of its ability. Everybody's dealt different hands.
Yes.
You've got to play to your strengths. So I like numbers. I really like.
Yeah.
I love numbers, economics, finance. I fell in love with it. I just read one piece of paper in university. I was like, what is this? And I just went.
And you fell in love with it.
Fell in love with it. And meantime, doing my computer science degree, I'm just stabbing myself every day.
Yeah.
When is this going to end? Please, God, give me a sign. What do I do? This for another 40 years in a career? I don't think I'll make it. I knew that, so I had to get out.
You got out.
This here makes me feel alive.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I feel alive when I'm looking at the charts, doing my research. Yeah.
It,
And sorry to get a little philosophical here.
No, go ahead.
Money is really important. Yes, it's important for everyone to have, but you can keep going higher and higher, and you'll always. And for some people, it's never enough. So I like to imagine. I like to take a moment, smell the flowers, and what if I already had 10 million or 20 million or whatever? Would I be happy? Am I happy? And there is no substitute for that. Right? You got to be happy as you're going along. Otherwise,
agree.
What's the point?
I totally agree with you on that.
And all of this, none of this is important as health. Health is your number one thing.
There you go.
You need your body
There you go.
to facilitate anything you do.
Yep.
You got to take care of it.
No, you're absolutely right on that. I mean, there's such a parallel on there. I mean, a lot of people give their health up to stress
Take
out and
care
to
of
strive and to obtain something, and then when they've attained it, they don't have the health to support it.
Like, imagine a guy, he has his mansion, his Lamborghini, he steps out, he's like flopping, he's getting sweaty just getting out from the Lamborghini. It's no.
Yeah,
you can't buy that. You can't buy health.
No.
Yeah.
No. That's another discipline.
Yep.
But disciplined people tend to, once they take on discipline in themselves, they tend to be disciplined in a lot of areas of their life.
Yes.
And let's say they become weak in certain areas. Like I have we call it the junk drawer. Right, when you have a drawer that you just kind of throw things in. Everything else is like the kitchen is pristine, right? The kitchen is clean.
I get you.
But you have this junk drawer. You throw the batteries in. You throw the cables in. You throw the bills in. It's called the junk drawer.
Yep.
There's no order to it. There's nothing in there. You throw a few screwdrivers in there, but you know that you rummage in there, grab what you need, and get out of there. But there's no order to it whatsoever. So we call it the junk drawer.
Yep.
That's the one. So, but we all have that in our emotions. We all have that in our life. So we can be disciplined in certain areas here, but we're very undisciplined in there.
It comes from, I think it also comes from consistency, the discipline, because if you want to lose weight, if you want to achieve something, you gotta clock in every day. You gotta
have to do it.
show up, lift the weights, show up, diet, show up, do the work. It's consistent. So that itself fosters discipline.
Correct.
Yeah.
So my junk drawer, I'm lazy in learning new languages.
Me too. I tried. I really tried.
Yeah, I want to.
My mom speaks all 4 dialects of Chinese.
Oh,
She
wow.
tried to teach me. I failed utterly. I can't.
Well,
I just can't.
I've lived here for 4 years, and I'm failing.
But I think it has to do with the brain, like left, right, creative, numbers, logical. So.
Well, I'm a musician, so I'm creative.
Not necessarily.
Well, I mean artistic. I mean, so I'm not autistic.
Musician,
but
you copy, right? You play other people's songs. That's what I do.
No, I'm a
You compose?
improv.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I can play anything. I can just get up and play on a band. I can play. So I'll repeat a song, but I can play anything. So if I hear a chord, I'll make something. I can play it. I don't write music though.
Okay.
I do not do that. I never composed. I never went that far in
I
the
think
education.
that's the spark part where you gotta write, you gotta compose.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I don't.
Because
write.
I mean, you listen to like Beethoven or Chopin, they just came up with that.
Yeah,
Right?
they did. Yeah,
So I think that's what the creative thing comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're just copycats.
And it's true about the creativity and stuff like that. So I'm structured in numbers. I'm kind of
There you
stuck
go.
on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe language. I think it's that side of the brain.
Yes.
And like I said, play to your strengths.
Yeah. Exactly.
I know just enough Russian to survive, to ask for help.
So you know more than I do.
Just enough to flirt. How you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's my junk box.
Yep.
That's the one area that that I really don't order.
Yep.
You know, because to me, it's not my strength, and it's not
Gotcha.
energy that I want to waste over there. I want to put
that's the other
energy
thing.
somewhere else.
Do you really need it? Do you really want it? Is it necessary for you? Because you've got all these other things that you have to do. You've got to allocate time to that.
Correct.
If you want it.
Correct. Yeah.
So is it
correct.
going to give you the returns that you want from the language?
It is. It's all
if
about.
If
it's
no,
all,
then it's a waste of time.
Yeah. It's all about investment and return.
Yeah.
You know.
Besides, with AI coming up, I mean, you just press a button. Eventually, they'll just translate everything.
It's getting faster and faster now,
Exactly.
and it's getting clearer and clearer. I mean, they have these little mechanisms now that we just can have a conversation in different languages. And
Google Translate everywhere I go. Boop.
yeah. So that again makes us more lazy.
No, not lazy. I think it's just a tool to help you.
It does.
It makes it more efficient.
It's yeah. But it is, and again about the return.
Yep.
You know, we do everything for reward.
Yep.
You know, and people don't really understand that. Oh no, I give myself to people. I said no, you give yourself to people, and you still get a reward. You get an emotional feeling that supports why you do what you do, and you're getting a reward. Everything we do is for reward. Well, no, I'm not selfish like that. You know, well that's just denial.
Yep.
And it's not really understanding the reality of things. And when you young investors, new investors, you know, people who really don't have a grasp on things, you know, it's really addressing yourself and being honest with yourself. If you took a 9-to-5 job,
Yes.
okay, you don't really have to think about it. Clock, and then do your tasks and clock out, right? There's not a lot of thought process on it. You got the education to do the tasks,
Yep.
but now it's just redundancy, right? It's just doing the same thing over, and you get better and better at it, but it's nothing changed, and you know you're going to get a check twice a month, and you know it's very, very structured.
But that's the point of the 9-to-5, right? That's
Right.
security, right? That's stability. That's what those people want.
Right,
I
and there's
used
nothing wrong
to-
with that. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But the brain's wired differently.
My brain's wired differently.
I tried it the 9-to-5, and it doesn't work for me. And I never succeeded in that. So I always was an entrepreneur, and I always created my own businesses. I saw a need, so I said, "Oh, I can do that." I fulfilled the need, and then I went around and said, "Everybody else needs this," and so that's how I started businesses. And you know, so and I couldn't be bound by a guaranteed income. Okay, and so. Time flies when we're having fun.
That's true.
We'll end this up here real quick. I would like to have you on again, because, like I say, each topic could take some time on it.
Yep.
But it's a real joy to talk about. It's a joy to pick your brain. I've actually gained some valuable information from you, and just your own personality and the way you see things and the way you approach things is actually a value that I appreciate. And I think our audience as well can pick a lot out of that. So I'd like to have you on again. Not next week, but you know, probably within a few weeks. It would be a pleasure.
I'd love that. Yeah.
So it was fun. I knew I was going to have fun with you.
Oh yeah.
And maybe what we'll do is since I know you better now, we can actually pick a topic and stay on that topic.
Sure.
And work on it, and then you and I could create a series
Oh.
of
Okay.
topics
Yeah.
that work for you and topics that work for the Andesite Blue,
Okay.
and you know, and our audiences like that. I really want to focus also on the opportunities in Ukraine. As I mean, I didn't get a chance to really expound on what the gold that I found all over the streets of Ukraine. But you see them too.
Yeah.
And so it gives our foreign investors that are really looking at Ukraine. It's the hub of the world right now. The whole world is paying attention.
Yeah.
And when Ukraine is liberated and is free and victory has taken place, and the skies are blue and the fields are yellow.
Oh boy. Fun times.
Oh my goodness. You know,
Fun
and
times
every
away.
person I've had on the show, whether it's Ukrainian or foreign, especially foreign, they all see it, and that's what I want to be able to our audiences listening that are out of the country right now and listening to this. This is an opportunity to start gearing up for investment, and so obviously I have one tool that Andesite Blue provides, which is the bonds, and I mentioned that earlier, and but there are other tools to work with.
Okay.
There are other tools to invest in. You've chosen your tools that work for you, and so so what we'll do is we'll categorize, and we'll make a little mini series.
Yep.
So part one today was just kind of a chew the fat. Yeah, just have fun, laugh a little bit, and just share kind of our passions. And the next one we'll still have fun, but it'll just be more specific. Yeah,
right,
and
gotcha.
I think it'll be fun to do that. So. Well, thank you for joining me. Anytime we get around a native English speaker, our conversations can go on and on and on, so we don't want to bore you anymore on that, but I do want to encourage you to come back in my next session when I know that John will join us the following week. I'll announce it so that you know that it'll be part 2 of this segment in investments. With John, I'm going to specifically stay on the investment part because that's really what we're about is finance and investments in Ukraine. I believe in cooperation. I believe in collaborating with many people to make things successful, especially in business, and so that they're guaranteeing their own security. They're guaranteeing their own success. It's not about one person. It's not about me making it work. I hire people. I surround myself with people. I get involved with people. I join the company with people that are smarter than me, that have better business sense than I do, that have better investment opportunities or ideas than I have. And because I know that that's just really the best way to secure, people's money, to make sure that that money is safe and they're going to get the returns and the dividends and the interest that they've hoped for and that we've promised. So anyway, thank you for joining us this evening. You have a good week. I look forward to seeing you next week. I do have a special guest next week that'll be with us. He's an American Marine, like myself. You're a United States Marine. So we'll be talking a little bit more about Ukraine. He's actually training the military here now. He couldn't come today because he couldn't break away from that training. But we'll have that geared up for him to come, so we're going to have a good time with that. So we'll be talking more about Ukraine and the military aspect of it and the changes. I see the changes, he sees the changes, because we're geared in a certain way to be able to understand the atmosphere of war and the fighting that's going on. So Ukraine is going to see victory, and is going to see victory soon, and that's the day that we are all in full anticipation of. It's going to be a celebration like Ukraine has never seen in over 100 years. I mean, it's going to be an amazing, amazing celebration during this victory. So have a good week. I look forward to seeing you, and Slava